In this video we're going to show you how to build a simple 12-foot gate here. It's going to have 2 hinges on each side holding the gate. Show you how to level it. I'll show you the hardware needed for the middle. Our end posts are 6x6s. The rest of our fence is done with 4x4s. But these end posts are 6x6s to make it a really strong gate. And you'll have no sag. And we'll have the cables for the anti-sag as well. I have a 12-foot gate on this side. We're gonna have a 4.5-foot gate on the other side. All right, here's our gate hardware. Straight from Lowe's. Everything I need. These come with a 1-door kit. So you get 2 hinges in each. I'm gonna steal the hinges out of these packs for the big gate. And then I'm gonna use these 2 hinges for the small gate. Because I wanted 4 matching ones for the big gate. So these 2 extra ones will work over there. I needed the hardware out of these kits for each door. So these 2 have plenty of stuff for both gates, and these will be the hinges for the small gate, and I'll steal the hinges out of these for the big gate. Hopefully that makes sense, because I need 4 hinges for the big one and 2 for the small one, but I need 2 gate locking kits and 2 handles. So this should be enough. These are to tighten the cable for the anti-sag, and these are the eye bolts that are going to mount it. You need 2 for the big one, 1 for the small one, and then so you need 4 of these per 6-foot panel, 8 for the big one and 4 for the small gate. This is what the wire goes into to do your anti-sag. All right, since we have a 12-foot opening, now we're going to do 2 6-foot panels as our gate.
Pick a seam and see.
We do this one 71 and then do the other one 73.
See what the other one looks like at 73.
So they should be identical. So this is 71, then it would be 75.
So you're going to have a
4 inches. One of them's going to have to be cut down the center. But if they're cut down the center, that's going to be an inch too big. So one of them needs to stop at 71 and one of them needs to be cut down the middle. Yeah, one of them needs to be 1 inch short and one of them needs to be 1 inch big.
There you go.
So we decided, since 72 is like an inch into a seam, we're gonna start at a seam beforehand, which is 71 inches. And then the next panel, we're gonna cut down the middle, so that way we only have 1 cut. So we're gonna cut the 2x4s on the back side of the panel, right where a 71 inch seam. So one of our panels will be 2 inches bigger than the other one.
Oh, I got it on the right one. Oh, I'm having fun.
Because we only have to move 2 of them today.
Yeah, I can handle one.
So we should do the smaller one as the one you open, right? That's what you did. Okay, so then we'll go this side. And then the bigger one will be the stationary one.
That one is. Make sure that this ground looks pretty good. Touching the ground a little bit. It's raising it. The ground is coming up over there.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to have to be able to.
How to open. So we need to cut an inch off.
What if we? That's what I'm wondering if we.
So we're cutting at a slight angle because it rises toward the middle. And we don't want to cut too much off that side because it was even with our panel. If you cut it too much, then you'll have a gap at the bottom.
Okay, Kimosabi. Let's see you do your magic.
Time to start mounting some hardware. John's line it up with the hinge in the middle. That way she'll swing open.
Hello?
No, I'm finishing the gate.
Yeah, I mean, this is the gate. You're going to have a little bit of a gap in a gate. I mean,
Yeah. Alright, so you're still level at the top?
yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why, I mean, right now, where it's sitting, it looks really good.
So now the gate's level with our string. Everything's mounted, we like it. So now this bolt we put in first, we're gonna take this lag bolt out and put our eye bolt through that one for the backside. And then we're gonna add more bolts.
Almost.
So now everything's mounted. And then this one we add the eye bolt through it.
Here's the nut.
Alright, twist it to lock it in. I'll hold the nut. They feel tight?
Does now.
Alright. That's good enough. That's all I did on the other side, is hand tighten it. And there's our eye bolt. And we'll do a matching one on that corner. That'll be for our anti-sag of the gate. And now we got our eye bolt in each corner. Now we can run our cable and add the middle thing to tighten it. Add our cable and this thing, we can tighten it up. That way we can lift this to be level with the string. Oh,
Yeah, you got plenty of room.
longer, okay.
Plenty of room.
Yeah, the other ones are cut too short. I only did 6 foot, I think. These are 9 footers.
Okay, these are good. If anything, we're going to have to
Yeah,
draw it
tighten it.
close, tighten it. So
Yeah.
you want to have it extended so that you have room to tighten onto. A lot of times, if you forget to check that and you've got it real
You
short,
gotta know where to tighten it.
and you go to tighten it later, and it's like, whoops, then you got to redo all this again. So it's something. Just make sure you have plenty of room on there. Do your thing.
Cool little trick there.
It works. Might be a little loose. We need to tighten.
Yeah, we'll tighten it after we get the other gate
Get
on.
the other one going, then we'll fine tune it.
So that's where those little things come in handy.
$72 3/4.
So with our uphill climb,
Gap.
we have an uphill climb here, so we're gonna have a little bit of a gap on this side, on the bottom, just so we can go uphill and still be able to keep our straight line at the top. So we're gonna square it to the gate, and then we're gonna cut at an angle on this end to get it to match with our slope, because we want our top to be perfectly straight on the gate. So we're gonna leave our little gap here just because we're going uphill and we want our top to be straight. So we're gonna cut the left side of this panel to match. We got about a 1/2 inch difference from top and bottom. So it won't be noticeable once we get it mounted.
This way a little bit.
So we mount half of it to the fence, and then he's gonna lift the panel till we get it to the right height, and then I'm gonna drill a hole and mount that. Let me put one more in.
Yeah, put on the left side.
Honestly, the only thing touching here is the 2x4 in the middle I could sliver off.
Which you could just, yeah, I saw that.
Just added our eye bolts to the top and bottom on this one. We're gonna add our anti-sag cable, and then we just gotta do our hardware for the lock. As you can see now, it's almost done. Got our hinges on, got our string perfectly straight. I don't know if you can even see the string here. That string is pretty much dead on all the way across now. Anyways, that's how you build a 12-foot gate. Pretty simple. Now we got to install one of these on the back side here. Probably gonna have to add a wooden block behind this piece, mount it somewhere here to hold the hook, because these panels are so thin. So you can either add a block behind each of these, or you can run a 2x4 all the way down the back side of this. You could run a 2x4 all the way down the edge to make it stronger, like I did here. Put a 2x4 on the side of this just to hold our pin, to make that strong. You can add a 2x4 to the back side of this whole panel here. Whatever you want to do to make it stronger for looks. You really only need a couple, you need about 3 little 2x4 blocks. It's better to cut them off the edges of the panels so they match. Do something like that. So when you pull this up, it'll swing open, not hit the ground. It doesn't need to be high. Maybe about there. When you go to open it, that way that's mounted down. Added the second pole holder, so now it's got 2, so it stays straight and it doesn't bend in the wind. Nice and strong. And then when you pull it out, you hook it on here when you open the gate, so it works perfectly. I hammered this down into the ground a little bit. You can also add a small PVC pipe into the ground to help, so it can come out in and out of the ground easily. But that's in there solid now. Now we just got to straighten the gate. I'm going to add another 2x4X to strengthen the gates. That way they don't bow at all. So now it's done with the wire going one way, 2x4 going the other way. That way they kind of X each other out. Keeps the board straight, keeps your gap straight. You got 2 blocks to hold the hardware for the bottom pole. You got a little block to hold on the lock here. And it unlocks it. And then on the outside you got your handle. And that's how you build a 12-foot gate. And it's still perfectly straight with our string up top. Pretty easy. It's hard to see now that the sun's going down, but she's perfectly level with our string. Got a nice little handle on there. She closes perfectly. It's probably hard to see now that there's no sun. That's our completed fence. And here's our 4.5-foot gate. I've got the string perfectly laid on the very top of the panels. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's perfectly on top. On both sides, perfectly sitting there. So that'll give me an idea of exactly what angle I need to put this gate at as it hangs. So I'm gonna make a handle here, and it's gonna swing out toward the neighbor's house. So I have a lock and a little handle and everything right there. That means our mounting hardware is going to go right here. It's going to go right over the board that's behind this panel. So my top, middle, and bottom are all the same length, so that's going to be a perfectly straight cut. So to make that nice and easy when I go cut my panel to fit this, should make making the gate very simple. So this is where the thinking comes in, because we cut the bottom of this one, some of this gate to match, but we also want the bottom to look the same. So we have 69 inches here because we cut 3 inches off the bottom. We have 72 inches over there. So what I'm doing now is I squared the left side, and then where it's hitting on this corner, I'm going to take my Dremel up and just clean up this gap so it's even all the way up. That way this gate will blend in with the fence, and then I'll worry about getting the height perfect. But so far it looks perfect. I did cut it at an angle so it would match each corner, so you wouldn't really notice the slope. Your best bet would be to cut all the way from the left side all the way across at the same angle, but that's a lot harder. This way it will look fine, and it's a lot easier. Alright, now we can mount our hardware. So we put the hinge with the pin right in the center. So once you get your top lined up with the string line where you want it, I have it propped up because I'm by myself, but once you get the top where you want it, you can bolt in the sides once your gap is perfect on the hinge side, and then I'm going to come back and trim It's touching here at the bottom because I lifted it. So I'm gonna trim a little sliver off this side after I get the hinges mounted. All right, after a little bit of trimming, I got this gap good. It's straight with the line. I'm about 1/8 of an inch higher on my gate than on my fence. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna trim a hair off of the gate. That way I don't have to readjust the whole gate. I'm just gonna trim a hair off of that and it won't be noticeable. But my string line's perfect on the other side. And now I got my gap. I got my gap perfectly. So now when I mount the hardware here, that's the only way you're gonna know where the door is. This gap isn't that noticeable, but it's enough. It's enough that it won't ever hit. All right guys, I had to do a little bit of tweaking off camera. So I got this side square. I got it mounted right. I made sure my gap was the same all the way down. You want to leave these kind of loose. You pretty much want to put like the middle one in and leave it loose top and bottom, and then lift this side until you get it to the desired height that you want it to be at. And then once you know you got a straight line, you can go in and drill the outside holes, add a couple more screws, and kind of tweak it to where you need it. I trimmed it a little here just so it was kind of all blended. That way it's all perfect. And then you could tighten it all. And then you get it to the height you want it at the bottom. And then when you go to mount this stuff, so ideally you'd want to match the boards. You get a little smaller board to make it blend better. I just put a little 2x4 in there. So I still got more tweaking to do here, and I got to add another block for this. Ideally you want to use shorter screws, like your 1 7/8 here, or 1.5 inch screw here, so it doesn't go through the back of the 2x4. I just mounted it to show you with the 3-inch wood screws. Even putting one 2x4 up here would work perfectly. To make it look nice, if you run a 2x4 from here all the way down, it would look a lot nicer than just putting blocks here. So that's something to think about. Just run a 2x4 in this whole section. That way you got plenty of wood to just screw whatever hardware you want into here. And then on the inside of there, you just find whatever height you want this at. Whatever height you want this at, you drill a little hole here for the mounting hardware. I put a big lag bolt into the post right here. So that's plenty strong enough to hold your hinge. And then this is how you get out. When you get locked inside, you squeeze this to get out. On the inside here, you got to add an eye bolt. So you drill a hole in your hinge. So your inside hole for your hinge, drill a big hole through that and put the eye bolt all the way through this one. And once you do that, you get that one in there. And then you eyeball your door where you have that hinge or that eye bolt. You go down to the opposite end and you put an eye bolt in a similar spot on the bottom frame. And then here you have this. And then this is your tightening thing, so you can adjust the sag of your door. This holds about 300 pounds. This is what you want for the long run. And then you can tighten it, twist it. Now these are about 5 feet long each, so you want about 10 foot of cable. And then you need 4 of these little things. I don't know what they're called. They lock the wire in. You gotta have one for every spot. There, and then down there. And then lastly, just to straighten the door, it wants to bow. I add a little 2x4 crossing, so that way you got a nice square door and super strong. It's also a nice little handle when you open the door. You can always grab the 2x4 to close it, and then you can grab your handle on the other side to close it. And also, if you want to be crazy about perfecting the straightness of the door, you can add a little block behind it. I did at the bottom because mine was sticking out. Mine was going in on the bottom, so I added a little piece on the bottom. Alright, well that's how to build a simple gate that's super strong and will last forever with a nice lock. You got your pin. You can also add a lock there, but it's nice and square to the fence. If you want to see how to build the rest of the fence, check out my other video on my YouTube page on how to build a fence. Alright guys, thanks for watching.